What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special Thanksgiving holiday episode of Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold stories behind athletics, big business, corporate America, the private sector, politics, and entrepreneurship, then this is the show for you. Being a part of most of these and having family and friends involved with them at one point in their lives, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in these careers. Today's guest is a young lady that hails from Eastern Shore in Virginia via Massachusetts. She wears many hats today and has been wearing them for a long time. And that's only because I believe she started when she was about 8 years old. Let me try to name a few, because if I name them all, we could run out of time today. That means that, Steph, you in high demand here. That's why I think you've done so much, and you have done great work. She's a businesswoman, speaker, coach, community leader, social activist. She even has her own podcast. She does a podcast herself. What's Good Gifted? Had a chance to be on it a few times. And then she has many more positions of power. But the most important thing she is she's a mom. And she's a mom of a Division I student athlete, where her daughter Madison plays softball at Towson University. I want to welcome to the show special guest, a good friend of mine, Miss Stephanie Wood. How are you doing, Steph?
What's good, brother? Good
How you doing? I was
on
hoping for What's Good Gifted. That's what I was hoping for.
Holiday. What's that?
I was hoping for What's Good Gifted right there. Plug your show a little bit. How you doing though?
What is good with you? Good morning. And thank you so much for having me on today. I am so excited, and I can't think of anybody else I'd want to tell an unmasked story to. So thanks for having me this morning.
Well, I appreciate it. I know taking time out of your busy schedule. But I wanted to give you a chance to, I gave you a brief description, but anything else that I may have left out that people don't know. So, I want to make sure people, when they leave here, they like, wow, I want to, I really got to know her, and I need to reach out to her and talk to her. But anything else that I may have left out that you want to share?
Lamar, I think you did a great job. I was over here like, shucks, I was blushing a little bit when you were introducing me, but thank you so much. I think you got it right on the head. I love people. I love to see people succeed and overcome and, create their own life and live out their dreams and live their gifts. So that's what I've been doing for the past 17 years professionally. And so you nailed it right on the head. I appreciate that.
Well, look, before we even get unmasked, because that's what we're here for, I want you to talk about your special project that you got going on, Jason's Place, and then why and how the viewers can actually help out.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've been building and managing nonprofits for a really long time. I had my first nonprofit in 2000. I shut it down in 2009. It was called The Stronger Woman. And it had a lot to do with basketball and athletics and traveling. And I was traveling the country in Canada, speaking to athletes and women and families. And it was great. Detoured, got some other things done, started working for some other folks to build their, initiatives. But here I am now in this COVID season where I started to really witness children being affected, athletes being affected, trauma of what we're dealing with right now, both with the heightened racism and the violent tendencies from some of our leadership, like just everything that our kids are dealing with. And I started to remember that the children are really our future, not to sound cliche, but really that's the key. And so many Americans are suffering as adults from childhood trauma. 6 out of 10 people are suffering from adverse childhood experiences that carried over, suffering mentally, physically, emotionally, relationships are being hurt. And I want to do something about that. So Jason's Place is a place for reading, resources, and retreats. a nonprofit organization to help bring reading to the forefront so that children who are going through trauma can get into a book, both learn, be inspired, expand their minds. And reading has been proven to really help people to heal from their trauma. So that's why I started it. I'm going to be speaking to students. So excited. Going to be reading to kids. We have a reading teammates program to kind of be mentors. And I'm really excited. It's my passion project. And yeah, and I'm thrilled to be doing it with Miha. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Awesome. Well, make sure I'm definitely gonna make sure I donate to that. That sounds like
Appreciate that.
Gonna be great for you and everyone else is involved. So with saying all of that, this is what we're here for. And let's go ahead and jump right into it and get unmasked.
Let's get unmasked. Let's go.
So can you tell me, this is I start off with this. Can you tell me a little bit about your career path and what led you to the role or roles you're in today?
Wow, that's a great question. So it was all by big accident. And I say that because I was really just following the opportunities that were presented to me. I was a young kid, finishing college, got married, started coaching basketball. And I did what most athletic women do. They get into a school system, they teach, they coach, that's what they do. Get pregnant with Maddie, right away. It's like year one into my marriage, I'm like pregnant. I'm like, all right, let's go, and realized that I needed to and wanted to have the desire to be a stay-at-home mom. And that was something that was really important for me, not having had that. So I put that into force and I just started figuring out how to make money. I started doing basketball lessons. I started hustling, painting furniture. I started, saving money at home, figuring out ways that I could go from my job to being home with Maddie and trying to figure out how to make money. That led to meeting Gannon Baker, working for him, traveling the country, just being a person on his squad that would do the things that no one else would do, that would rebound for him during camps, would do the extra. I would just go the extra mile. Every time I had the opportunity, I would just do the extra thing. And Gannon led to me, helping to manage and build his business. And then that led to another thing. And again, it just kind of snowballed after that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's going to lead right into this. Like, what's the one thing that you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I had known how powerful I was. I'm saying, that's just all of us. Like, let me stop and say, like, we are all powerful beyond what we even know, especially because of our heritage and because of the link that we have to the, the people of God, just period. So like, we got to remember sometimes how powerful we are. Also, women in business and in relationships, we really hold the ground for it all, And I think that when we're young, we don't really understand that. We don't really know. So I really wish that somebody had tapped me on the shoulder. And instead of saying something like, oh, you're never going to get there, or, oh, that's never going to happen for you. Or, I even remember my high school basketball coach telling me, I was a senior, it was my senior year. So it was going to be like my year, breakout tournament. Okay. We're at Matthews, Virginia. Okay. Breakout tournament the senior year. I scored 28 in the first game. You know what this cat says to me? We go to the locker room after the game. He goes, I wouldn't get used to that. See, Lamar, I wish somebody had tapped me on the shoulder and been like, look, sis, you got the juice.
Well, I like that. I like that. That's interesting. Like you said, you're 17, 18 years old and you wish someone had said, yeah, you had the power then, and probably, you have no idea what it would have led to from there. Just that confidence alone, instilling that. You're a little busy. We talked about all the hats you wear. You do, like, I know it's interesting. I've been knowing you for a little bit now, but you stay busy, which is it's a great thing too. like, but what does a work day look like for you?
That's a great question. So, uh, a work day for me can mean a lot of different things. It could mean getting up at 4 a.m. and taking a trip out of town to manage an event for a client, like we're doing this weekend in Richmond. In that case, I would be at that event all day, point person, what have you. The event closes, you wrap it up. There's probably like a post-event dinner. You go to the post-event dinner, then you leave there. You got to do the smoozing. You got to do the whole thing, Then you come home, check emails. I'm in school as well. I'm actually studying for my insurance license exam, which I take Friday. I've been studying for that. I'm also finishing a business and leadership degree at Regent. So always schoolwork, definitely. If I'm not doing an event, it consists of phone calls. It consists of putting out any fires, which none of my people really have any fires. We're really blessed at the firm. Like, we don't have people to catch fire on things. So it's not a whole lot of craziness around here. And I think that really goes to my staff, and then also like our processes and stuff like that. Also, throughout the day, I'm going to be on the phone with Maddie. We're going to be FaceTiming. I'm also going to work out. That's been a key thing. I'm going to meditate. That's an everyday thing. Prayer is a big one. And that might be multiple times throughout the day, depending on what we're up against. But that's my normal day. It can be different every single day. And it can go 48 hours straight, or it can go 10 hours straight.
Woo, yeah, I'm tired thinking about that. I thought I had a busy schedule, but yeah, I just wanted people to understand, what a work day or work days are for you, because I don't think when people get into this, and we'll get into some questions later, like how tough it is once a career that you have. Right? That's what I would say. I'm gonna ask you this. We talked about Jason's Place earlier, but it may be some other things. What are some big projects that you're working on now, or that you finished up in the last few months?
Okay, so one of my biggest projects that I'm really proud of is the work that we've done with Kenny B Speaks. And Kenny B Speaks is out of Queens, New York. He is one of my greatest clients, dopest friends, very, very huge thought leader. He's also one of the owners of 3MG Music and has been instrumental with K Major, who's a platinum songwriter, writes for Future, et cetera, et cetera. Kenny B and what we've done with his brand has literally changed everything about the way we do business at the firm and the way that I do business. The project is clean, it's beautiful. And of course, our work has always been good, but it's something about having a client like Kenny B who brings that level of knowledge to the game that, really understands his vision, really understands what he wants. So we're super proud of that. I'm also super proud of the firm. Launching my own firm after doing business for 5 years on my own was a huge undertaking during COVID. Like, what was I thinking? Like, I probably should have did it in whatever. But that's, we finished that. And then Jason's Place. I'm very, very proud of this project here, because I think this is a place where we're going to be able to do a whole lot of good. And there are so many children in foster care, thinking of the children who have experienced the trauma of this pandemic, children who experience trauma because of racism, bullying, abuse, neglect, drug abuse. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And now is the time when we can really lose our kids if we're not paying attention, especially the kids who are in foster care, who are experiencing any kind of family traumatic experience, a family member in jail, a family member with a mental illness, a family member that happens to be ill for a long period of time. This all weighs on it. So Jason's Place is near and dear to my heart. And I know that we're going to raise a lot of money, and we're going to be able to buy a lot of books for these babies and do a really good thing.
Awesome. Now I'll piggyback on that a little bit, and I just asked you about the good. Now, what is your biggest failure? And then and what did you actually learn from it? What did you learn from it?
Failure. Okay. Well, I look at failure differently.
That's why I'm asking, but yeah.
My guy, look, failure to me is not final. Mistakes are just little mistakes. It doesn't make us mistakes, so I don't look at anything I've done as a failure. I feel like every single project, and that's what they've been to me. People, businesses, relationships, they're projects to me. In my mind, that's how I look at it. And each project can be really, really good or really, really bad. And the project is a combination of a lot of things. For something to go really, really great, it has to be firing on all cylinders in all areas. So I have never felt that any one of the projects that I've started or worked on was solely my achievement or solely my failure. Because really, even some of the hardest projects I've worked on, such as Cover 3 Foundation, was one of the hardest projects I ever worked on. Challenging, it was a very diverse and adverse, environment. There was a lot going on. That couldn't have been what it was without someone like Greg Scott, or without all that community, without First Baptist of Franklin doing their part. So I never really feel like it's me. I just feel like I'm playing my team role. I'm playing the wing, I'm locking down the defense. I'm doing my part. You know what I mean? I'm doing my part. But I would say that one of my biggest failures in life was probably that I wasn't mature enough to hang on to my marriage. That I wish I could have done better at.
Yeah, like you said, mature enough, and that happens. But we all know that there's a purpose. God doesn't make mistakes, so you had a beautiful child out of it. So obviously that wasn't so that's how it is. That's how you look at it.
I say she gets everything good. She gets everything good from me.
I like that. I do like that. I do like that.
But she did get the best of both of us, and God bless him. He's just recently got married, so it's all good.
Good. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
The Bible, Google. So funny. I always had this thing in me that I was never going to say no to anything. My adopted father taught me how to work hard. I was his daughter, but I was his son. So we fished. He taught me to paint. He taught me to build things. When things would, come to the house and need to be put together, like a grill or like one of those pods you put on the top of your car for packages and suitcases, it was me he was teaching to do that. And I think he was really grilling me to figure out how to work hard. And I always said I would never say no in business, that I would always say yes and figure it out later. I'm like, oh, can you do such and such? Yes. Why, yes, I can. Steph, can you paint this? Why, yes, I can. And I'm going to tell you why, because someone told me initially when I was starting as an entrepreneur that I had a gift that I didn't know that I had. And she pointed it out in me. So I would say also another resource is people. People are huge resources that we really screw up. And we all have our own share of screwed up, burnt up, messed up relationships. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is having people in your corner that are there that you can ask questions to, that you need to ask questions to. So people in business, ministry, leadership, reach out, help, ask questions, and then also my intuition, my gut. That's something I didn't start trusting until about 4 years ago. And I think when people grow up in an adverse situation and maybe they feel less confident moving into certain things in their life, I think it's hard for us at times to remember that we got the juice. We got to remember that we got the juice. So we got to trust our gut. And that's a huge resource. God gave us the intuition. God gave us that discernment. And we have to tap into all the resources that we have.
Those are some awesome answers, and I like juice keeps coming up, so I know that's be kind of the theme there. I like that. Um, what are some of the biggest challenges you face day to day, and then what are your biggest rewards from that?
Gosh, you are killing these questions. Somebody get this brother an Emmy. Look, you are doing so great. Look, oh my gosh, I am just blown away. Look, let me tell you something. My individual daily struggle. I'm gonna be completely unmasked with you right now. I only recently realized, and I would say recently within the last 10 years, that anxiety is a thing. I didn't even realize that. Like, I'm just doing my thing, going about my day every day, raising the kid. You know, you put your head down, you get after it, you get up, you work, you go to sleep, you repeat. You don't realize the toll that worry, stress. So that is a daily overcoming for me. And I want to be transparent about that, because anybody that's trying to go for something is going to experience stress. Anybody that's trying to go hard and do something and be something is going to get adversity. Like, we have to realize as a people that that's the indication that we are close. You know, that's the indication that we're close. So I battle that every morning. I'll be honest. I battle it every morning because sometimes it's harder than others to get up and keep pushing, you know, get up and keep going. I get it. You know, we're living in a world that is me oriented. It's violent. We're divided. We just finished the craziest election, or maybe it's finished. Who knows? Like, is it really? So you know, you got to remind ourselves every day. So for me, the anxiety, the everyday wear and tear that we carry, it's that walking around pain for me. None of my challenges have anything to do with business. None of them have anything to do with anything I'm challenged with in work. I can do this stuff in my sleep. I think most of us would say that our challenges are coming from how to manage it all, how to balance it, and how to make sure that we are fulfilling relationships. And that is another weakness of mine. I got a tendency that if we're not talking about money, I don't want to talk about it. Help me.
I feel you on that, because like I just said, like, you never want to waste an entrepreneur's time, because time is money. And so I feel you on it. I do feel you on it. I feel you.
So again, I think that if you want to have good relationships, you have to be able to nurture them. So I try not to take on too much. I try to take on more personal relationships than I can handle, because as an entrepreneur, it's a daily grind. It is an all day, every day. You don't turn off. You are your brand. You are your product. My most rewarding times throughout the day are when I can check things off my list. I have a black notebook. I've been using the same black notebook for 15 years, and it's Cambridge. I buy the same one. I write every single thing down that I need to do. And it's very rewarding to me every day to just knock those things off. I love to call my clients and say, I finished your project a week early. I love to be like, hey, this is done. And honestly, we win and I win when people in my life win. That's how I look at it.
I love that. That's great. I'm gonna steal that, by the way.
You can have all of it, because you probably said it to me first, and I probably stole it from you.
Who are 3 people? Because I'm sure it may be more, but these be the hardest questions. These are the hardest questions, because you don't feel like you don't leave anyone out. But who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
So my daughter is number 1. She is that kid. She is my reason. I can say, I can feel like that had been always my my passion. I can remember wanting to have a child, really wanting the desire to have someone that looked like me, being from a foster care background. And, I really wanted that. I desired that. So when I had her, life really got better. It's always been really good with her. She's profoundly influential on my life, because she is going to have the things that I didn't have. and she's gonna be able to do more with her life because of the people in her life and her gifts and her talents than I could have, so I'm really proud of that. And she's gone and done things that I never experienced. So she has education to pass on. And parents out there, you need to be able to do two things. One, learn from your children, and two, apologize to your children. That's been, you have to be able to humble yourself and say you're sorry when you're the one that screwed up. And that's how her and I've been able to be close and try to be mother-daughter, but also now as she's an older, she's a young woman now, figure out how to be friends. I would say that another person that's been very influential on me is James Spencer. And James Spencer is the owner of Legendary Softball, and he coached Maddie. He was one of my very first clients way back in 2004 or something, 2003. He's a mentor. He is a business associate. He is a leader, and he really, him and the rest of the guys who coach Maddie and were kind of like my brothers, kind of helped me to raise her. And then in business, he's been that guy to kind of let me bounce things off of, both in ethics, a very ethical guy. And he's funny because he's a Republican, and I think I'm mostly a Democrat. I don't know. I really don't know. I got views that are skewed, but it's funny because, you need people that have different points of view. And he's been that guy to give me a solid point of view from the other side, but very respectful. It's not a racial undertone. It's not a poverty undertone. It's not we Republicans are, it's not that. It's like this, we're reaching across the aisle. And then I would struggle to say that the last person would, and I don't know that it's last or first or whatever, but it's just going to be the combination of experiences of all the businesses and all of the visionaries that I've had an opportunity to work for, because each one has made me better. Each one has made me, smarter, deposited into me. I am only here because they're great. And then of course my faith goes without question. It hasn't always been like that, but we all come to a place where we have to submit and surrender. And I know that I've already been through that. And so that influence that my prayer life has, the influence that God's expectation on my life has profoundly pushed me into everything I do. That was a lot. That was a lot, Lamar.
But I loved it. So, and it was great. It doesn't have to be a lot. Now this is interesting because this is, maybe Maddie want to do this, but I'm going to say, what piece of advice would you give to a high school, college graduate who wants to become an entrepreneur?
Get ready for the ride of your life. I would say to a college graduate that wants to become an entrepreneur, to go with the grain of what they're doing, what their education plan is. So businesses can be started from thin air, this is the beauty of America. And the beauty of human ingenuity is that we can just think up stuff. And if we can see it in our mind's eye, we can achieve it in life. That means if we can picture it, it can happen. So these young people coming out, especially young people who are raised in sort of like a strict environment, may not have ever been told that they could start their own business. Starting their own business may not have ever been a conversation. In fact, I would venture to say that most parents would not want their children to start their own business straight out of college. I would say that if you stick in your educational path, you can hone in on your skills in those first 2 or 3 years, because having an education doesn't mean you have any work experience. And work experience work ethic is going to be the thing that takes you every day in your entrepreneurial journey. That and faith. If you don't have faith and work ethic, you're done. So I think my advice would be to get those work skills up and start plotting onto how you want to expand your gifts. And maybe if you don't want to be in business for yourself in the path of education, or in the path that you took for education, like whatever your degree is, like maybe if you're a physical therapist, that doesn't mean you want to start your own practice. Okay, fine. Well, God has given you another gift. There's something else inside of you that you can do and make money off of. That's just how great he is. Like there's another thing, like there's more, like even then when you finish that thing, there's another thing. And then you know what? There's another thing.
I like that. Well, it's kind of, you said something and then it leads right into the next question. Like, what would you say are the top 3 skills needed to be successful entrepreneurs?
And you know what? These are top 3 just to be successful in anything. Like to be successful in anything. This is honestly, this is my top 3. Number 1, you got to know the value of a slow yes. So a no in my life is just a slow yes. So if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm like trying to sell myself and I go to market myself or like do some direct sales or whatever, and somebody says no to me, I feel like I know exactly where you stand. So now I can go to work selling you, trying to bring you back. I feel like that no is just a slow yes. You're going to say yes to me eventually. Because you know and I know.
I would say you definitely would say yes to you eventually.
I'm saying, and that's most people. Most people, if you keep going back to them, if you be consistent, if you stay the course, if you do it over and over and over again, the no will turn into a yes. It may not be when you want, but it's going to be right on time. It's going to come exactly when you need it. 2, I would say stay prayed up and read up. Stay prayed up and read up. You need to pray and you need to read. You need to pray and you need to read. You need to attach yourself to your faith. You need to be into the word of God if that's your thing. If you're a Muslim, you need to be in that. If you're a Buddhist, you need to be in that. That's what I'm saying. For me, I bleed the blood. Okay. So for me, I stay prayed up and I stay read up. Now, reading is essential. Many kids like myself who are in foster care and came out of that don't learn to read at the time when kids are supposed to. Kids are supposed to be learning to read at 5, 6, 7, whatever. Not the case with kids that are coming up in adverse situations. They learn to read much later, but reading is vital for them. So as an adult, you got to stay reading. You got to stay reading. You got to get the books. You got to do get into the resources, expand. And then I would say the last thing is that you just have to be better than the thing you did the day before. Success is not like me against you. Success is me against me. So when I wake up in the morning every day, I look at myself in the mirror and I know that that's my competition. So I just have to be better than the thing I did the day before. I think sometimes when we try to compare ourselves thinking that we're all equal, now let me explain what I mean by that. We all have equal rights. We all are afforded the same equal rights. But me and you are not the same. There's nothing about you and I that is the same except for where we come from. Your gifts are different. My gifts are different. They make us unequal, but still equally valuable. People forget that. So you just got to do better than what you did the day before. You just got to keep being better. If you keep being better, that's all you can really control. And that'll just bleed over. Those things will just bleed over into everything you touch. You can expand on those so much.
Wow. I like that. I'm just sitting there. You're dropping some nuggets over here. So you make it. It's you, Lamar.
First of all, I'm usually nervous in interviews, but I'm not nervous at all. You made me feel so at home. Thank you for this.
No, I'm glad to hear that. So I kind of asked this question because I said something about who influenced you, but I'm gonna ask you, who has been, and it may be the same answer, but it could be different reasons. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
Wow. Okay. Well, public, like on a big stage, obviously my daughter is she's my inspiration, seriously. But also, I love women in business. I love to see women getting after it. I feel very inspired on a global scale when I see women win, because I just think that's great. I love to see people overcome their odds. So I'm inspired by anyone who has overcome challenges or, been great. I'm inspired by people like Barack Obama. I'm inspired by, I love him for so many reasons, but I loved him and I still do, because I could relate to him. Here he was, a president who had been through so much in his young childhood, a lot of diversity, and a lot of adversity. And, I could relate to that. And I felt very close to that, because then I finally felt like I had representation at that level. And I think that for most people, they felt that if they're a person of color, or if they were a person that, just had been through something. White, black, or green doesn't mean you've ever been through anything. It certainly doesn't mean that either one of us are more susceptible to trauma than the other. In fact, there are studies that show that everyone suffers the same, with all the same issues as far as internal struggles and homes and everything else. But I'm inspired by people who triumph. I love the underdog. I love the sports story. I love, like, Flacco the other night. I'm like, what are you doing? You just gonna throw touchdown passes? Okay, big guy. Okay, that's what we're doing.
I like that.
Did you see it? I was like, look at this guy, with his old beard and his little gray hair and everything, doing his thing.
I like that. I'm gonna ask you this: what business? And I probably know the answer to this, but I want everybody to hear this too. Maybe I'm wrong, but what business-related book has inspired you the most, or what is your favorite book?
Okay, Talent is Never Enough is my favorite book. The Bible is the best business ethics book out there. Somebody told me that. It was so funny. It was actually a Mormon that told me that, Lamar, in Franklin. And he said, we were at this meeting or whatever, and I was like, hey, what's the best business ethics book you can buy? And he was like, the Bible? I was like, oh, well, I already have one of those. So let me go on, get in here and see if I can find out these ethics. Let's see, another one. You know what? I just finished reading this. Let me tell you, I just finished reading this not too long ago. It's called Attachments.
Okay.
I read this in preparation for Jason's Place, because it talks a lot about how people really view relationships and how they're built over time, and how trauma and different things like that can affect them. So yeah, but there's a lot of books in here. Gosh, you threw me off with that question. I didn't know what to.
Well, I want you to think a little bit.
Did I bomb that one, Lamar?
No, you did not. No, you did not. I knew, because I know how you are with your religion, your faith, and so I was expecting Bible to be the answer, and you said you came through. So I know you look. So, this will be a question. You've touched on it, but now I want you you can expand a little bit even more. How has being an entrepreneur or businesswoman affected your family life?
What family life? No, I'm playing. No, look, I honestly, Lamar, I always wonder why I didn't have a huge family, because I wanted it so badly. I was like, I'm like, always wanted to be the wife and have like the 4 kids and the soccer band and, like be that person, but I don't think I was meant to be that person, so I think that God was very strategic. He gave me the life that I was going to need in order to live this life. People say all the time to me, Steph, gosh, don't you wish, because like if Thanksgiving is coming up. Okay. So on Thanksgiving, my normal is different. I have Thanksgiving on Wednesday because I have a split family. And then on Thursday, I go to the movies. And that's so, like people are like, don't you wish you had? Yeah, but if I did, then I couldn't be here for you. If I did, if I had this or if I had that, if my parents were still alive, if my adopted family was still somehow clicking and popping and we could all get together, I wouldn't be able to build a business in 2 days, 4 days before Christmas, which I've done before. So what I'm saying is, family life to me has always been, since my divorce, about Maddie and her goals, because I recognized that I was her person and I had to make that happen. Now family life is more about watching Maddie and her boyfriend. Oh, let me tell you something. He's a nice Italian boy. I want him to ask Lamar. Let me tell you something. The boy better ask.
I'm sure Mama knows. That's all I'm gonna say. Mama knows.
But family is just about making the most of it. There is no normal for us. We don't have the normal picket fence, blah blah. But we are, wherever we are, we're together. It's a great time. But it certainly has affected our life. Definitely. I can remember Maddie when she was, everybody thought she was going to do basketball because she was always in the gym with me when we were doing basketball lessons or camps, or she went with me. She traveled with me. It was a great time. When I had my interior design business, she'd be right in there painting alongside of me. So entrepreneurship and our family has been parallel. But if you ask Maddie, she's not going to go into entrepreneurship. She's like, I'm not doing that. I ain't crazy. She's like, I got some sense.
Steph, what motivates you?
Doing a good job. That motivates me. Getting stuff done. People always say I should have more money than I do. People have always told me, Steph, you should be here. You should be living there, blah, blah. You should be da, 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 da. And I'm like, well, maybe that's the case. Maybe you're right. And if I was motivated by money or some kind of evil thing like that, because it is evil, then I guess maybe my life would be different. But I'm really motivated by doing a good job. I'm motivated by having integrity. I fought hard for that. So I'm motivated by doing the right thing when nobody's watching. I'm motivated by being there for people. I like to be being there for people, and I like to see people win. That's what motivates me.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Now you said this word earlier, and that's why I came back to it. I'm glad you said it. What is your greatest fear, and how do you manage fear?
That's a good question. So when I was younger, I was never afraid of anything. I think it took a really abusive relationship to make me afraid of anything. It's something about that situation that can both humble you, teach you, grow you, hold you accountable. It's something about when you're learning in that situation. But fear is a big thing because you fear what you don't know could happen, and that can paralyze you. For a while, it did. I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't understand, and for a long time, that kind of stayed with me. But fear is not real. Fear is an emotion of the enemy, just like doubt or that kind of thing. I got to tell myself that every day, because we all do things every day that we could be afraid of if we did them big enough. So there's that physical fear of being punched in the face, but then there's also the fear of either being great or not being any good. I think most of us might be more afraid of the light in us. And I can't remember the quote about that, but we're more afraid of getting everything we want than we are about losing it.
Yeah, I know what, I kind of agree with you on that. I don't think people think of it that way, but you are 100% correct on that.
It's yeah, it's like, it's, what are we afraid of failing? Okay. I think we might be more afraid that the strength and like, oh my gosh, is this really going to work out? But now, as far as managing fear, physical fear, I manage by working out. I try to manage by working out, being strong. I also go to the gun range and just pop. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. Just, I stay strapped, Lamar. Stay strapped. That's how I manage my fear.
You might need that. You need that in these times that's going on.
So I'm saying, you don't know what you're going to come up against.
You're correct. You're correct. You are so correct. You kind of mentioned this word too earlier, and it, like, I love to ask this because a lot of people, they get stomped by it. But how do you define success?
A mess. It's a mess. Success is a big mess. It is. It's all it is. It's just a big hodgepodge of a bunch of opportunities that came together and created a cosmic event. And it can look different for everyone. Success is just as unique as the individual who's having it, because it's about perception. I can think I'm success if I do X, Y, Z, when the public might look at that and be like, well, that's not success, so it's unique. But the way that I define it is, it's a mess, it's messy, it's a scribble. It's like one of those artworks where you draw the lines and then color in the holes. When you were a kid, you draw what I'm talking about? That's the way it looks to me, right? But I don't mean a mess as in it doesn't work. I just mean that it's a success is a big old pile of your mess. Good, bad, indifferent. And that's what it is. That's how I look at it. I sound like a mental patient.
No, I get what you're saying. That's a different way of looking at it, but I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you thinking about that. You're 100% right.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna study that some more because I'm gonna dive into that one. Then let's gonna pick it back a little bit. Like, do you believe that there's some sort of pattern or formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, I do. I believe that systems and processes help people, because not everyone can develop a system or a process for themselves. So yes, systematic approaches to everything in life always give you a better outcome. It's kind of like running around the city in Manhattan. The one thing I always notice about Manhattan or the big cities is I always feel really closed in because the buildings are so tall. And our view is also skewed because we can't see as far, right? Also, if we're running, like let's say we're jogging in the city and we're running and we get ready to turn the corner on a block and we're running full force and we turn that corner and somebody's there, what's going to happen? Right? Somebody's getting hurt. I equate not having processes or systems to that kind of behavior. Running full force into something, not knowing what's around the corner, only for you to bump, hit yourself, fall down, break your leg, what have you. The ways that people put the cart before the horse, the way that people want to start businesses without really knowing who their own self is. All the way that we want to launch out on a project but have no budget. All these things are processes and systems to getting to a successful place. I always say that there's a 5-year rule in anything. If I'm a graduate of high school and I want to go into a profession, I'm going to need 5 years. Whether that is, I'm going to go to college first, graduate, get a job. I got to get 5 years to where I need to be where I'm making money that I can live and do well. Same thing with entrepreneur. If you skip college, you're still getting those 5 years somewhere. You're getting that. You can't skip life lessons and think that they don't apply. You're getting those lessons. You're either going to get them at college or the first 5 years of your business or out at the McDonald's, whatever, but you're going to get those lessons. And the 5 years that a person goes through maturing, figuring it out what they're going to be between 18 and 23, 24, clutch. And then anytime you start something, you got to give it those 5 years. Most people can't give it one. So success happens when you get to the point where you're finishing the 5 years on every, like you are, okay, I got it. I'm there. I got it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I mean, you're 100% right about that. I like that. So we got, now I'm thinking 90-day rule, 5-year rule. So we got rules all over the place. I'm just thinking. So I like that. Now this is interesting. What is the one common myth about your profession? I mean, entrepreneurship or field that you want to debunk? Like, what's that one common myth?
Common myth. Okay, well, I'll tell you like this. My homegirl Stacy Lynette she's one of my directors, and I'll tell you one of the things that has really stuck out to both of us is that everybody thinks they can CEO. Everybody thinks, oh, I own a business, that means I'm a CEO. Well, no, and Stacy has really pointed that out very strong in her CEO or Not podcast, and I'm so proud of both her and Nicole and their podcast. I mean, these women are amazing, and you can actually see Nicole at the Well Church next month or this month. The women are crazy. And don't let me get started on Martin. He's amazing too. But she was saying that, and she brought this up to me. She was like, everyone thinks they're a CEO. Why do they put CEO behind their name? I'm like, well, they think because they own the company, they're the chief executive officer. Well, in order to be a chief executive officer, you got to have money to office. You got to have business to be an officer of, and I think that the people think that you automatically walk into that role. No, like if you were to leave your business right now, you couldn't get another CEO job because being a CEO actually takes qualifications. That's why I'm the director of operations of my firm, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have a doctorate in whatever, because I don't. But another myth is that you won't make it. That's a big myth. You're not going to make it. Don't start your own business. It's a bad idea. That's not true. It's never a bad idea to start a business. It's a bad idea to start a poor planned business. It's a bad idea to not understand the finances of your business. It's generate revenue. It's a bad idea to not be educated in business systems or not get a consultant, but it's never the wrong time to start a business. And it's never a bad idea to start a business.
Great stuff. That's great stuff right there. Now I'm gonna ask you this. What's something people misunderstand about you?
I think people think that I'm mean, or like I'm really, some of that. I think also, unfortunately, in our life, if you happen to be a woman who's somewhat attractive, I think people misunderstand your motive a lot of times. I want to be transparent about that because I grew up in the neighborhood on the basketball court with the guys. That's how I grew up, on the soccer field with the guys. So when I get on the phone with guys in business, I'm like, what's good? What's good? It's like, no big deal. They're like my brothers. It's like, oh, we're back on the court. It's all good. That is misunderstood a lot of times. It's misunderstood by females, males, like you just never really know. So in business, for me, my personality gets misunderstood sometimes. I'm very approachable, so I just am like, woohoo, but it's kind of, I don't know. I really don't know. And then of course, you always want people to think the best of you, but when you take too much time to worry about how you're misunderstood, you really miss out on the juice and the sauce and the spice that you have. So I don't know, but honestly, Lamar, I really don't know how people see me. I'm done.
I feel you. I mean, and if you don't worry about it, then you're not, if you don't think about it, you're not worried about what they think. You're focused. You're laser focused, and you know what you need to accomplish. And
you know what? That's the third time somebody has said laser focus to me in this week.
That's a good thing. That's not a bad
thing. It is.
And I'm actually, this will be the last couple of questions before we wrap up. But like, if you could step into my shoes, what would you ask yourself that I didn't?
Man, nothing. I think, man, you've done an awesome job. I feel like this has been one of the best interviews I've ever done, and I thought you did a great. I wouldn't have asked anything different. It was awesome.
Appreciate that. And then I'm gonna say, and I love ending with this. Kind of reworded a few times, but if you could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, you got the juice, baby. You got it. Nobody can beat you. Nobody can do you. What's for you is for you. God has something planned for you. Don't give up. Don't be sad. Don't worry about family issues. Push through. It's all going to work out. I wish that I had somebody in my ear tell me I could be better. I wish I could tell myself, you deserve better. You've got this. You deserve better. And it's to hear me say that, it might sound crazy to you because you're like, oh, Steph, you seem like, yeah. And of course, I know I deserve, everybody knows that, right? But when you're a child, when you're a young child, and this is why Jason's Place is so important to me, because when you are a young child and you are being formed and molded and experiencing a lot of adverse experiences, and you need someone to tell you, hey, you've got this. You need someone to walk beside you and be like, hey, get away from there. Go do this. Talk like this. Say this. Get in a book. I want people to be more like that to kids. Adults have a tendency to just, to distinguish their flame. They have a tendency to put them into a box and tell them they can't get out of there or go over here to be successful or do like, just really empower kids, and especially kids who are experiencing traumatic situations. Like I was one of those kids who really needed somebody to take me and be like, hey, no, you've got the juice. But it was always flipped. It was always, I was, like a charity case and they brought me along. But then when I had the juice, they didn't expect for me to have the juice. And then they didn't want me to have the juice because my hair didn't look like such and such, and I didn't walk like this or talk like this. So now because I got the juice, oh, wait, she got the juice? Oh, we didn't expect the kid to have the juice. I wish that somebody had told me, you got the juice.
Awesome. I love it. We ended on the juice, which I love. That's my thing. I'm going to use that as well. Well, look, yeah. Steph, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the show and being unmasked. Is there anything you want to leave with us? I know we talked about Jason's Place earlier. How do they get in contact with you? Is there a website?
Yes, look, I don't even want you to hire me to do anything in your business right now, folks. I'm trying to raise money for these kids. This is what we're trying to do. We have just under a $30,000 budget for the first 3 years of the nonprofit. A good portion of that is going to buy books for babies, our program where we're going to put books in the hands of kids who are in foster care, kids who are experiencing adverse situations, traumatic situations. We're going to partner with local adoption agencies right here in Norfolk and also in Florida because I'm going to be traveling there some. So we've got that. We've also got reading teammates where if you're the type of person that wants to be a mentor, are you someone that wants to sit down with a kid and read with them via Zoom, or maybe meet them with, obviously the social distancing and all of that. We're still trying to figure that out, but we're raising money so that we can make sure we have money to meet those children, to get on the phone with them, to read with them, get them the books they need, to walk with them while they're trying to learn to read, and then also help them inside their traumatic situation. And then finally, we're going to be doing retreats and workshops where we're going to be partnering up with authors to present their book to teams, some teams I've been speaking to. I want to be able to leave them with a resource. So we need some money, y'all. We need some money. We are going to be a 501c3 tax exempt organization. Y'all know I ain't playing. I done started like 12 of these, okay? So come on, give me your money. I need the money, all right? Donate at jasonsplace.org. We have a goal to raise $30,000. We need 30 grand. It's not a lot of money. That is just not a lot of money, but we need $30,000. Immediately, I need like 5. So whatever we can do, I'm ready. I'm excited. jasonsplace.org. And everything is there that you need to know.
Awesome stuff. We, I encourage people to make sure they donate money.
Thank
to
you.
the cause, and like I said, definitely gonna donate myself from Unmasked. I'm sure some of my viewers would love to hear that.
I hope so. And look, if you donate, listen, guys, look, I want to partner with you. If you donate and you're passionate about reading, if you have some kids that you want me to talk to, I'll come, I'll bring a book, I'll read to them, I'll give them the Valley thing. Let's do it. I mean, let's get out here and help these kids, especially these athletes. Lamar, I was down south and I was speaking to a softball team, and these poor kids, these athletes, they're going through it. They're going through it. We got it. Somebody needs to talk to them, and they need to know that they can talk to people. These kids experience, these Black children and people of color who have experienced this racist president, and all that we've experienced under this country these last 4.5 years has been traumatic, and our children are being affected. We need to step in. Our kids need us. Our kids need us.
Definitely. I definitely feel you on that. And by the way, you definitely want to hire her. She's not going to say that for this, but you definitely want to reach out to her and hire her.
I appreciate you.
For the events. Well, look, I want to thank you viewers for watching this exclusive episode of Unmasked. I want to stay tuned for the next guest as we get them unmasked. Happy Thanksgiving. See you next time. Stay safe and out of harm's way.